if you're in the snow and you're stranded in the snow, or you have to walk through a swamp, what to do. And we don't ever think that we'll ever have to do that, but that's not necessarily the case, is it?
Hmm. There's yeah, just be ready for anything. I think I got the faith that I kind of been guided where I'm at right now. I have my own grid. Like I was saying in the pre-show, like everything that powers this right now is all from my own solar. And it's not tied to. I don't even have the option to tie to the grid where I'm at. And I got 3 wood burning stoves in here. The
Mm.
garden out there, the greenhouse in here that has fresh vegetables 365. We run a crop through there. Even in the wintertime we can grow in there because it's just attached to the back of the house.
Mm.
And this is all like straw bale, and this is you know when I had my awakening in 2016, and then I started sun dancing in 2017, 18, and 19, and so on and so forth. I just kept getting a message, like, the embodiment of what you're speaking, like practice what you preach, like being connected to the land. Like I live connected, like, and I try to get more connected every day and more self-sufficient every day, because I had these dreams long time ago. I saw this happen a long time ago, and if you follow my pages, like on Instagram, and I'm starting to share some of those old interviews I did back in 2020, talking about the government was going to be, we were going to witness the our government dissolve, and a new government eventually form. But there's a time in between there. But there's a lot of questions that are not being asked right now. There's a lot of reports coming out of Iran that about the 173 troops that were taken hostage, the special operation troops. They showed pictures. It's hard to believe with AI nowadays, but
Yeah, it looked like
like
AI to me, unfortunately.
it could be. Like, who knows? But
I
the
know.
the one question that we're not asking ourselves: what if we lose this war with Iran? Like,
Yes.
what if, and
You
what happens then? I don't think we're going to see total destruction if on those grounds, because there's no reason to win a war and have their land if it's a parking lot.
Brian, before you joined us, Penny had indicated that Trump made a comment about he wasn't reluctant to drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. We also talked yesterday about the Trump boys, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric, investing in a drone company to help out with the fight. What do you think about that?
Me, well, in terms of Iran, I think it's part of there's definitely two different larger geopolitical strategies happening. There's, of course, the New World Order that's always been trying to just take out the Middle East all the way to the Caspian Sea so they could build their pipeline. And those are the neocons going back to the George Bush types. But then there's also this wave of people who they want to see Iran freed of radical Islam, but they don't necessarily want Iran to then become a pawn of especially Israel and the U.S. And so there's these two counter things going, and everyone is familiar with the geopolitical strategy of the New World Order, the neocons and Israel and taking over the Middle East. But the competing to that is that Iran is freed of radical Islam, but then the people become more empowered instead of them becoming a proxy state for the U.S. or Israel.
Right.
And right. And these are all forces in motion. And I think all of us are looking at it from the outside, kind of like, concerned, obviously, about what's going to happen. But I think that it's a lot more opaque and less transparent than, oh, they're just installing the New World Order, or, hey, the Iranians are freeing themselves. It's these two forces are happening at the same time. And then that's where the disclosure becomes so important, so that people understand, who are the forces manipulating things behind the scenes.
Do you think that the Trump boys invested in this drone company to deter their father from dropping a nuclear bomb on Iran?
No, no. I think that's just 3D Matrix business as usual. Opportunistically, they see, okay, drones are hot. Everyone's building drones. It's the next generation of warfare. We're going to invest in
It
that.
is.
That's the Trump boys. Having said that, going back to nuclear war, I personally believe nuclear warfare is off the table. ETs for so many decades have been disabling nuclear weapons and rocketry, and there's full video of this all over, not just in the U.S. but in Europe and Soviet Union or Russia now, and they've made it no secret of it that they're not going to allow it, and it's not a prime directive thing. They're protecting humanity. It's a nuclear weapons that are exploded here actually tunnel to parallel realities or realms that affect them. At that point, it now affects them. They are literally able to not only shut down our nukes, they're able to do much more than that because now we are imposing upon them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, Brian, I have a conspiracy theory, and I'm going to say it's a theory because I can't prove any of it, but I'd like your thoughts on it. And we have a situation of blackmail. That much we do know because of the Epstein files, the CIA involvement, the Mossad, MI6, and then we had back, because this is where I'm going back in during Obama administration, billions of cash was taken and secretly given to Iran.
$1.7 billion.
And I felt
in
that
cash.
that was a blackmail payoff when that happened.
Right.
So if we've got A blackmailing B, blackmailing C, and
Well, it's not just blackmail. That when Obama sent that 1.7, I think, billion dollars it was in cash to Iran, it wasn't just maybe necessarily because of blackmail. It's also they're setting up their new world order state, their
Right.
deep state behind the scenes. So it's probably no coincidence that Iran is officially the largest state sponsor of terrorism, right? Radical Islamist jihadi terrorism around the world. And then Obama is sending him 1.7 billion in cash. That's to fund all those operations that have brought us to where we are now. They never expected a Trump to come be a fly in the ointment and upset a lot of these things that have been in motion for decades. They were hoping that a Harris administration would continue all of that. And so now that is being upset, this is where I'm seeing the geopolitical strategy of everyone's been watching this New World Order march to try to take over the whole Middle East. And then other people see the Trump administration, these more recent actions in Venezuela and Iran as more destabilizing these terroristic criminal networks that have been set up by these other previous U.S. administrations, unfortunately.
Yes,
So,
and not only
part of
the
that-
money.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Not
Well, I
only the
just
money,
wanted-
but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to finish this thought. So what if, in order to bring down that and to bring down the competition, because it's possible that there is a battle of who's going to run the new world order between a place like Israel and a place like Iran. What
Well,
if
Iran has no running. There's no the only thing Iran can do is they can be a thorn in the Middle East of a nuclear flashpoint, and they can sponsor terrorism. But the idea of Iran taking over anything, I mean, right now they have so much internal conflict and strife in their own country. It remains to be seen how that's going to shake out, much less Iran being able to continue to project onto the Middle East, much less the world stage. So I don't see much hope for Iran there. I mean, they've got their own problems. They just lost 2 levels of their radical Islam leadership, and so it's a mess. And then throw Israel in there. I kind of see radical Islam from the bottom up as being a huge danger to humanity. And then the Khazarian mafia cabal run out of Israel from the top down, running the governments and corporate structure, and then it's kind of like the rest of humanity, we're sandwiched in the middle, and we need to
Right.
deal with both.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And then I'm sorry, Terry, go ahead.
You know, I was going to say that this morning my research led me to some information about Obama shipping not only money, but he was shipping gold. There's two
Interesting.
levels underground that they've been storing gold in Iran.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, because they're if you look at the 3D surface politics, it's like, why would Obama, president of the U.S., send gold and resources to Iran, an avowed enemy, calling the U.S. The Great Satan, right?
mhm.
Well, it's when you understand that the CIA networks of human trafficking and arms dealing and all of that have been set up, then it makes sense.
And Drew, you were discussing with us, because this could come to our land. They've been telling us to be prepared for that. And you were talking about some of the prepping that you've done. You've gotten off the grid, you're growing your own vegetables. And how do you see that, some of that fitting in? And then also you said to be prepared to go on the run, the go bag, and what you'd have to take with you if you had to evacuate suddenly. So can you give us a little insight in how you've prepared for that?
Yeah, just been guided really a lot, just following the signs and following the synchronicities. That's the following the dreams, and the visions, and where life has led me. So after ayahuasca, uh, got introduced to me, started getting more in line with nature, and that includes, getting more, starting to grow your own food. That's, I tell people all the time, they say, well, I don't have room for a greenhouse, I don't have room to a garden, I live in the city or whatever. You can still go and get a tomato from Walmart and grow it in your window and eat that tomato, and you're completing, like, this very sacred this very, very old sacred ceremony. That's one of the first ones. And yeah, but start there and just, life straws, Berkey water filters, if you don't know about them, Google them. Get heirloom seeds, a lot of the seeds are made to not made to produce fruit but not produce seeds. And there's the seeds are important to have heirloom seeds, and things that may sustain you. Learn how to hunt, learn how to fish.
But Drew,
And
I have to ask you, what was it that inspired your path to master telekinesis and psychic abilities? Because that was, partly why, yeah, I'm joining late today, but my inspiration for inviting you onto the show with Penny was, you are among what I see as a vanguard of people in the civilian normie world who are activating your psychic gifts, including telekinesis, and then you're demonstrating it. And it's you and multiple people now. You're not the only one, but you're one of the more humble about it, which I appreciate. So these people are like, look at me, I can do telekinesis, I'm a Jedi, and they go off and on and on and on. And it's like, you're more just humble and like demonstrating it and trying to show other people. Was it, first of all, how did you stumble onto that path of awakening and activating those abilities? Was it ayahuasca trips? What was it? Something else? What happened?
well, the awakening process started in 2016 with ayahuasca, but I've sundanced for 3 years, and that's the 4-day ceremony, dry fast. I've the piercings, I've drug buffalo skulls attached to my back. Like, I've done the whole many native ceremonies, and have had experiences, like profound experiences, where so I carry what the Lakotas call the spotted eagle dream, which is I had a dream of an eagle, and then I voiced that dream. Then I had a vision, same vision, and then it manifested. So I voiced all those to elders beforehand, and then when it happened, it was a marker of what my path was. Of what I was bringing here. I've had experiences where I've channeled Osiris, and some of those channelings took years to come to light, and some of them are coming to light right now that they're tying back to deep Lakota prophecies. So some of the details I can't really even speak about because they're so hidden, but trust me, the connection to Osiris is real. But the telekinesis, when I was going through and setting with my master, Renato Guerrero from Chile, he's a plant medicine teacher master. And after ceremony in Southern Colorado one time, he was playing around with a pendulum. Had a pendulum over his hand and moving it around. And that's just watching him. I didn't even ask him about what he was doing. I just watched him for a little bit, and then eventually got a pendulum a few weeks later, probably within a day or two. Truthfully, I got my own pendulum and started working with it and started realizing, about my energy. But just until recently, past couple months is when I sat down and really started messing with telekinesis seriously. I've tried it before, moving things here and there, but I think a video caught my eye. Someone moving a pinwheel, and I just started trying it. So then I realized that me putting out videos would spark other people to try it, and that's ultimately the thing. I'm here to show human ability.
Well, Drew, I got to ask you. There's got to be that first magical, oh my God moment when the dollar bill or whatever it is, piece of tinfoil moves or shifts, and it was you. Can you describe that first time for you and what brought that about?
Yeah, so the first time and every time before it happens, I haven't been practicing in past couple of weeks. I've been sick and I got a head injury now and things like that. I'm kind of the universe is telling me to focus on the temple, that the avatar that I'm in right now, but there's a silence that comes with it, and it almost feels like time stops. And I spoke about this with Chris Bledsoe in the back channels of it's like a flow state, and it's the same state that he describes it the same way, like when he goes before the ships arrive that he films, like there's this silence, and it almost feels like time stops for a moment, and then it happens, and it's like it's a real silence. There's a real silence in your head, and I don't know, it's like connecting with the universe. And it's slowing down, it's shutting off your analytical mind and letting your spiritual self speak through and connect, I guess, in that moment. Because moving the object is not moving the object. It's you keep reminding yourself of oneness. Like for me, I continue to remind myself of oneness. Lots of times I sit outside and do a sun meditation beforehand, and then I help charges me up, and because the sun is our physical representation, the source in this. But what people don't understand, the whole spiritual thing is all out in front of our face. It's in the stars, it's the sun, the moon. It's the relationship between the sun and the moon, things like that. That's why astrology is so potent in the ascension thing. But sun meditation is very important for telekinesis and understanding your connection to that, because you will never move an object if you try to move it. The only way you can move it is to become one with it.
Terry?
Yeah, there have been a lot of people recently who've come to the fore to say that they've done ayahuasca. One in particular would be David Rodriguez. Dino Rodriguez, who was I guess, world famous #1 boxer. And he found a calling doing podcasts, as we're doing now, in revealing the truth. And you mentioned astrologers. There have been several astrologers who came to the fore and are now doing, readings and everything using astrology. Interesting that you experienced that. What was it like for you?
It was life-changing. It was pivotal moment, one of the most pivotal moments of my life was the second ceremony. The first ceremony, there was no like vision or anything. It was a lot of just purging in the bathroom, throwing up in the bathroom, and it was horrible. Like really, it was really dark, but I don't recall. I shouldn't say there was no visions. I don't recall any visions out of it. Like it was just like a really dark, basically a cleansing. One of the medicine people that come over and prayed over me, they told me the next day that they seen like my light body and there was a bunch of bullet holes in it from like the war and stuff. And the told me what the medicine was doing was like repairing all those holes. So kind of makes sense, looking back now. But I wanted to leave. I woke my wife up on the morning of that second day, and it was supposed to be like a Friday, Saturday, 2 day ceremony. Two ceremonies, Friday and Saturday night. And I woke my wife up on that Saturday morning before everybody else got up. I was like, "Let's get out of here." She's like, "We already paid for this." Like I was like, I was like, "What was your experience?" She said she had a similar experience to mine. Nothing, no light and love or any of that. And just hearing there was like 20 other people in that first ceremony, and everybody else had like this beautiful, crazy, talking to past loved ones and all, like traveling the universe and just all types of stories. And I was like, oh, it must not be for me. And they talked me into staying. But that second night, I went into it, just basically, I didn't have no intention or anything. I wanted to see like whatever it was, wanted to show me. And it was a spiritual experience. I went through a tunnel, I blasted out back into the tunnel, into darkness, and met this female energy that was, her wings were made of like galactic strands of fiber, I guess. And that fiber stretched out to infinity. But it was just me and her in this darkness. And at that time, I kind of looked at it as, well, even then I realized it was I processed it was ayahuasca. Then I jumped to the next phase of like, this is the spirit of Mother Earth. And then I quickly, like all in this moment, and I talk about it, in my book, that right from the beginning, I knew it was like the divine feminine hemisphere of, there's two hemispheres of the whole universe, and the masculine, the feminine, the yin and yang, and then source. But this was the feminine hemisphere of creation, of all of creation. And I knew that right away.
Do you feel you came to terms with your mortality through this experience, or that you refer to your body as an avatar now?
Well, I mean, it was disassociating for sure. I had to, that's not the last ceremony I've done. There's been several others, and other non-medicine ceremonies where I've seen magic appear and things like that. I've done a lot of Native American ceremonies, and half of them have been with no medicine at all. It's just been, different things. And, some of them are not even that well known but they're definitely will, I think we always keep evolving, from that first time I come out of that first one, just knowing the spirit world was real, basically, like, and knew spirits were watching me, and I knew I was part of like this bigger plan.
So do you feel that opened the door to your telekinesis as well? You feel that?
No. Telekinesis just come. I don't know. I learned and was taught shamanistic procedures and initiated in different, cooking ayahuasca. I've cooked ayahuasca before. I've cooked San Pedro. I've participated in several traditional peyote ceremonies, sweat lodge, whippy ceremonies, Sundance, all these different things. And it just over time, like you see it in ceremonies, and then I guess I just didn't attribute it to what we were evolving into until recently, fully, and that's I didn't really understand Reiki until I started to understand telekinesis, because once I started messing around with telekinesis, I was like, I realized there was no boundaries, of what I could affect. So then there's this video that's on my pages where I do I move a pinwheel over FaceTime, and it's in a different part of my house. Like I call my wife's phone on FaceTime, put it in front of a pinwheel, then I go in the living room and I move it through, and I realize, like, people that are doing the telekinesis, moving their hands around something, even if it's under glass, they have to realize eventually they have to put their hands in their lap, and you can transmit energy through your eyes, and that's, there's no boundaries of what we can do, basically.
Katie and I have a sister who did the sweat lodge. I
Well,
don't know if she remembers
we
that.
we have members of our family that have done ayahuasca and DMT. What is the difference between the two of those?
Well, ayahuasca has 4-NN-dimethyltryptamine in it. When you do it without ayahuasca involved, it's much shorter, and you go to the hill a lot. You go to the mountain quickly and then come back down quickly. Ayahuasca is more like you're on a hill. So you go up and you there's a peak point, but ayahuasca is a mix. It has DMT in it, but it also has a mixture of different plants. And ultimately it's an alchemical creation of the person cooking it. And these plants are pre-designed and agreed upon that they hold these properties, in which they do. But when, what the ayahuasca is I would say half of what whoever's cooking it. So that's why it's very important that who's cooking it, because if we go to, and this goes, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's important to what we're talking about. If we look at the Dr. Emoto findings of vibration affects water, when you're cooking ayahuasca and singing songs or playing instruments into a brew over, some tribes cook it for 4 days, cook ayahuasca for 4 days straight. And all those 4 days they're singing, they're chiming bells, they're playing flutes, singing different songs into the ayahuasca. So when the ayahuasca is eventually drank by the participant, the people that are connected to those ceremonies, whatever songs that were sung in those ceremonies can be sung. I mean, whatever songs that were sung during the cooking process can be sung in the ceremony and release the healing properties that's in that vibration of that song.
Yeah, my research has shown that that's a common practice, actually, when you go to visit Peru. In certain areas of Peru, they do that all the time.
Yeah, ayahuasca and wachuma, the San Pedro cactus, the San Pedro was given the name. That name was given by the Catholic conquistadors when they landed and explored South America. They sat and did ceremonies, like these Catholic priests sat and did ceremonies with these wachuma shamans, the San Pedro shamans, and the cactus, which is contains mescaline, which is peyote, contains mescaline as well. San Pedro cactus contains mescaline, but when it's cooked, you normally ingest it in a tea. But when these Catholic priests sat in ceremony with these shamans, and that's where the name comes from, San Pedro, the Saint Peter, because their visions involved the pearly gates and going to heaven. And that's really how it works. It's kind of the spirits, and this is not just in ceremony, it seems in dream space and things like that. Whatever spiritual practice that you're ingrained in, whether it be Jesus, animal spirits, Buddha, whatever it is, that's the language that these spirits speak to you first when you first encounter them, and eventually they start to take off their cloaks to eventually show themselves as source, and being the oneness, the whole oneness aspect.
Drew, I have a picture of them making ayahuasca. Can you explain it? I'll bring Penny, I need you to pay attention in case I do this wrong. There we go. Can you explain what they're doing here?
Yeah, so this is chacruna. So this is ayahuasca is a brew of traditional ayahuasca brew is a brew of two different plants, and it's also dependent on where you're at. Like Colombia, Peru, depending on where you're at, they have different recipes, like their traditional recipes. They use different plants. So it looks like this is chacruna, and this is what they use in Peru as one of their ingredients. So this is the ingredient that holds the DMT. So this is the plant that holds the 4-N-dimethyltryptamine. And there's other DMTs, like this is not the same DMT that's in like the toads, the 5-MeO DMT. This is a totally different molecule. That's 5-MeO dimethyltryptamine. This would be 4-NN dimethyltryptamine. This is the same DMT that we hold in our body and hold in our lungs and everything, that's expelled when we're born, or when we die, or when we think we're going to die, like a near death experience. And that's where you have, or it can be for breathing, it can be expelled. But this holds the key element for the DMT. So they brew this, they chop it up. Lots of times they might beat it and pulverize it, and then boil it. But it's boiled with another plant, which is the ayahuasca vine.
And how is there kind of a way that they do it, or is it just like making any tea?
It's kind of like making AT. You don't want a rapid boil. You want to kind of simmer. So they put it in large pots, and the reason it takes so long is they go through what they call like washes. So they'll cook it for say 12 hours, and so this plant right here will be mixed with vine too. So they put the vine and this plant, and some, depending on what tribes you're in, they might add in different plants that mean different things, like flowers, things like that, to bring in different spirits. Like there's a real popular spirit that they like to infuse on. It's called Bobansana, and it normally grows by the river's edge. So along the Amazon, you can find it, and it's said to carry a spirit of a mermaid. So they like to infuse like that very beautiful, it's like I don't know, just different things they like to infuse into it. But yeah, they're cook it for like 4 days, but the washes, they're cooking for like 12 hours. Drain it off and keep the material in the pot, put new water in it, and they'll have like the pot of all the tea in there, and then eventually like they'll have that, and they're boiled out all down to where it's just a gallon or so. But they're start off with 55 gallons of liquid, and they're boil it all down until it becomes really concentrated.
Is it the liquid that you drink?
Yeah, depending on where you're at, some people it's a liquid, and there's other places where they boil it all down to where it's like a paste. They call it, like, there's a totally different name for that, and that's like in Colombia, and the process is similar. They use a different plant. It's like called I might mispronounce it, but it's like a chocobunga or something like that plant. And that plant contains 4-N-dimethyltryptamine and 5-MeO. So it contains the same DMT that's in the Sonoran desert toad, the Bufo varius toad.
Wow. Okay, so you can get 5-MeO DMT other places, not just that frog,
Absolutely.
the Bufo frog.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like over 30 different sources of
I thought the
5-MeO
Bufo
DMT
frog
in the
was
world.
poisonous.
I mean, it's a neurotoxin, and it's definitely it's designed to protect itself from smaller animals. Like
Because one of our dogs got a Buffalo frog in Florida, and she almost died.
Yeah, you don't lick the frog. People always talk about joke or you say like licking the frog, like that's not how you ingest it. You harvest the medicine, basically squeezing it like a pimple, like where the glands are at. The two main glands on the Bufo or Sonoran desert toad are right behind it's where its ears would be. And you just squirt that like you would a pimple on glass, and it dries, and then that's vaporized. You vaporize that in a pipe. And,
where are those frogs from?
They're from God.
South America? They're from South
uh,
America?
they're in Arizona. Like you can, people drive over
Yeah,
them all the time.
they're in
And
Miami too.
yeah, everywhere. I mean, anywhere where
Wow.
there's a climate that can sustain them. But an interesting thing, they spend 5 months. They only spend like about 5 months on average out of a year above ground. The other 7 months they're in a hole, like in a hibernating state. And that is, obviously, like how I view them, there's definitely a connection to source. Like I carry this another medicine that I carry and ceremony that I do for people now, and it induces a source moment, a divine connection of oneness, and that you won't ever forget. So coming out of it, and I didn't realize this for a while, like my first moment of oneness was a spontaneous moment, complete sobriety, and it was just very spontaneous, my moment of oneness. But when I finally got connected with Bufo and did the ceremony for the first time a few years ago, I realized like this is a very powerful tool, because this can really guarantee people to have that moment of oneness and understanding. It's not even a theory of source, it's like a knowing of source that you carry with you after that.
Some people seem to have that without going through the ayahuasca experience naturally. Is it connected to the pineal gland being cleansed, or?
Sure. I mean that's the physical, probably a close physical explanation to it, but ultimately it's about timing.
Mhm.
We're just a small window, and we're just a blip in a whole timeline, and we're also a blip, part of 8 trillion souls going through this experience together. But um, it ultimately it's about timing of the right time, and you've written this, like each one of our souls like is connected to source, but we have our own individual soul that keeps going through these experiences and signs up for these experiences and things like that. Well, guess what? Everyone that's here right now signed up to witness one of the craziest things to ever happen to humanity.
Yeah.
And we all signed up for excitement. We all, and a lot of us are ascended masters that are, this is all they do, is hear and help guide guide everyone else through the doorway. And this, I believe that's part of what I'm here to, why I'm here, and why I come to this awakening. Ayahuasca, like when my third ceremony is kind of pertains to this conversation here, because I went into my third ceremony, and when I drank the medicine, I asked, why am I here? Show me why. Like, why is this miracle? Why is this light? Why is this spark that inhabits Drew, and there's the same spark that inhabits each and every one of us? But why is this one here? It was my question. And I got shown I was here to speak. I was all these other things. I was like, no, you got the wrong one, because of what I did in Iraq. And it showed my path. And I don't know if I spoke about this last time, but the lily pads. I had a vision of I was on this lily pad, and there was none in front of me, and I would hold my foot out and a lily pad would appear, and each lily pad was a different point in my life, starting out from when I was born, adopted at 5 days old, found out I was adopted when I was 18. All these different traumas were needed to lead me to the medicine, to wake me up to a higher understanding, a deeper understanding of what the spirit world was, to not read about it in a book, but to experience it. I didn't read about it beforehand. It changed my life so dramatically. It was like a 180. I went from I was veteran, did 2 tours in Iraq, and, come back with that mentality. And that was, I guess that was, the persona that I was going to live with, the, veteran that did 2 tours in Iraq. But, after ayahuasca, I don't even know what I am right now. I call myself just Drew, really. But, there's been people there's Lakota chiefs that's called me a prophet, And there's people that call me a spiritual advisor. There's people that call me a telekinesis guide. There's people. I'm a co-founder of a psychedelic church. I've been on a reality show. I'm author of 2 books. But really, I'm just here. There was a lot of truth laid in my lap. And what do you do with it when that happens? You have to share it. Like there's nothing else I could do.
Are you familiar with the astrologer Adam Enblas?
I'm not.
He's very popular on YouTube. He has his own show, and he openly professes ayahuasca was a turning point in his life. Also, David Wilcock, and I'm sure you know David Wilcock.
I know of him. Yeah.
Of
I haven't.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and these people came out, and yes, they're out there helping people, helping humanity to wake up.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you do? I
Mm,
mean,
mm.
what
Drew,
else do
how
you-
old are you? How old are you?
5.
I'm sorry,
45.
45?
Yeah, I'll be 46 next month. So, and also the anniversary of the whole manifestation of the eagle is coming up on April 9th. So that was like 2 days before my birthday in 2018, which was another huge moment, like confirmation moment of like, oh shit, like I did sign up for something, because it was like when a dream becomes real, it's like if you have
Yes.
a dream or deja vu, but this was a very vivid dream. And then so that happened. The dream happened in November 2017, and April 2nd of 2018 I had the vision again, the same vision that was in the dream. And I asked why, and it said, the reason you're receiving these dreams like this, and it said it's about to manifest in the physical before my birthday. So I knew I had 9 days that this was gonna happen in, and which was a very weird thing to, it's almost like, okay, you're gonna win the lottery within the next 9 days, like, and so it happened on the 9th, 2 days before my birthday on April 9th. But I asked why all this was happening. It said, because for your future work, you have to be able to trust the dream space. You have to be able to trust the visionary space, and you have to be able to trust the physical space and know that they're all connected for your future work. So this experience will concrete that in. And so that's, I trust my dreams a lot more now. And part of the reason why I homestead and things like that, I had a succession of dreams when all this was happening and there's people may call it the initiation dreams or shaman dreams, is the volcanoes, all earthquakes, war, all this flooding, all this other things happening. And I took it very literal. And now I realized that I was set myself up to survive what's about to happen.
Oh.
When you're talking about that, Brian thing, that's you talk about also being able, there's parallel timelines, and a lot of times when if we are headed, one is very disastrous and the other one is more positive, and we have the ability to shift. Did you want to talk about that a little bit, as how that fits in with what Drew is saying?
Oh, well, I mean, it seems like the more we spiritually empower ourselves, the greater positive effects it has on the reality around us. And it's not just, especially for an individual basis, but as Yeshua said, where 2 or more are gathered in my name. And so really, I see Drew as being part of the vanguard of people who, he's a Westerner, he's a 2-time war vet, and yet, he's following a shamanistic path and helping others to find that way. And so I see a lot more of this happening, and that's what has to happen for humanity to spiritually awaken. A lot of people in the full disclosure movement put so much primacy on the technology, clean energy, medical beds, anti-gravity. But the real primacy first and foremost has to be on the spiritual development, and evolution, spiritual technology. And so I think that's where, Drew's really hitting on something there.
Yes.
Yes, speaking of shamans, David Icke he's a famous speaker, of course. He had an interaction with a shaman, Credo Mutwa from Africa. Are you familiar with him, Drew?
I'm not.
No, you're not. You said
I'm not.
Brian
I'm
shook
not-
his head yes.
Yeah,
I'm not,
credit,
I'm not
credit.
a big, I'm not a big research guy. Like I try to, I listen to podcasts, things like that, but it's just to keep me from going insane, because sometimes
Oh,
I just
right.
need to, I need to go deep on things. And, I'm a father of 4 kids and 2 toddlers. So that's a large part of
Oh.
my life too. So podcasts kind of allow me to keep the balance, of the spiritual energy. But I'm not a researcher. So when people, I'm not, and I purposely tried to stay away from that because I don't want to interfere of what is coming through me. I don't want to shift it one way or the other. I want it to be as pure as can be.
Well, Brian shook his head yes. He's familiar with Credo Mutwa, who is shaman.
Yeah, just briefly for our audience, Credo Mutwa is an African shaman elder of his tribe who has shared a lot of information with David Wilcock about a lot of the reptilian, especially ET type beings and the tribes in Africa, and how certain lineages get developed and then powers are, passed down along those lineages. And so, it seems like with humanity, it's almost like a split. Humanity isn't just moving as one homogeneous mass. There's the people who are kind of staying in the 3D matrix, and there are people who are wanting to transcend that, and they are the way showers. And as more and more people transcend the 3D matrix with the spiritual technology, they're demonstrating signs and miracles and works. Then more and more people are going to move that way, and these are forces in motion that have to smash into each other. It's a very dialectical process to then re-emerge as a newer stage of development. And many of the masses are falling away, while some are taking a lead position to find the way. And both are happening at the same time. So it's kind of confusing, I think, to look at it from the outside and say, well, what's happening? Well, it's all happening at the same time. What's going to win out? That's what remains to be seen. Are we going to turn into an idiocracy, or are we going to achieve our Star Trek future? And both forces are in motion at the same time, trying to realize themselves.
It was interesting because we had Brooks Agnew on this week, and he talked about that very thing. And he said this is part of the birth pains, where we have the positive and negative are beginning to, there is this turmoil going on right now, and that's the birth pains, where we're seeing, wars, rumors of wars, but eventually the world will separate, where the more positive will go into another dimension and the negative will stay back. Is that what you are? Is that in line with what you're saying?
Yes and no, because a lot of people, they kind of envision that like this quantum shift, like there's going to be a split, and then everyone who's awake goes that way, and everyone who's not awake goes that way. I think it's more of a quantum superimposition, where those of us who are awake, we're going to move more towards the awake future, and we'll see people dying off in the physical, or fading out, or just being less and less relevant. I don't think it's necessarily going to be this magical split shift all of a sudden. I see the splits as happening kind of like the more awake you are, the more you're going to move that way. The more asleep you are, the more you're going to stay stagnant. Right. And then there's kind of like people in between.
Yeah, I've heard it described as a timeline, positive timeline and negative timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
Would that be...
Yeah, and then the individual will perceive the timelines differently depending on how much you energetically match with what. And so, like we could exist in a timeline where we're all here, but like, a lot of our family members are gone.
Right.
right, in the physical.
Oh,
And
I
yeah,
need,
but
I
then
need to ask a question.
but
Oh,
but
you
but, but
wanted to ask
maybe
the question?
yeah, but maybe there's some of those family members who we perceive them as dying. Maybe they're still living in their own parallel timeline,
Mhm.
doing their own thing. Who knows?
Katie could speak to that.
Katie, yeah.
Okay. So, not by my own doing, but as God would have it, we have an opportunity to go live down on a piece of property, 55 acres, with my husband's first child. We have 5 sons together, but his first child's his daughter. And she and her husband went down and bought 55 acres of property in Tazewell, Tennessee. And we are being asked to come down to live there. There are many things in the mix of all this decision making, but this could happen very shortly, like within the next 2 or so months. I know there's nothing happens by accident, and I do understand what you're speaking of, and have dipped my toes in the water. But I tend to stay in that water of reality. I have a fear of it because of comforts of home, change of being away from my other sons and all that kind of stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to say is what I'm hearing from you is that would be a good thing to do is to
I
take
would.
advantage of that opportunity.
I would.
Yeah, I'd say be open to taking advantage of opportunities, and
Yeah.
then go with what resonates.
Yeah.
Because who knows? I mean, it could be you could go. It could be a wonderful experience. It could be a terrible experience, and you learn something. Right? Either way, it's the journey that's important.
Well, we're watching the end life of our father. Terry and I are sisters. He's 102 years old, and his money from his property in Florida, which is not a lot of money, but it would be seed money, go into this property. And I would never have that. I wouldn't have had this opportunity. So I'm seeing things line up as to be, a directional, leading, if you will. But I've been really, really stuck about it. I don't sleep over it. It's like nausea kind of comes up because I'm resisting it.
Ask a pendulum. If you work with a pendulum, ask a pendulum. What's it going to hurt? And I think the pendulum, the way I see it, it's not really connecting to spirit or whatever. It's really connecting to your higher self, and your higher self knows. And that's why it's trying to lead you in a direction here or there. But the pendulum for me, like it's it's used by a lot of different things. The Knights Templar is a lot of their teachings is based around the pendulum. The number one artifact found on the Giza Plateau is pendulums. There's a reason why all this, hold a pendulum over your hand. Like if you don't have a relationship with it already, start a relationship with it and start asking it questions.
Yeah.
Don't base your life around it, but take it into account when making your decision on when to go.
That's good. I know about that. Great. I haven't been doing that.
Because for our audience, the understanding or some of the theories is that the pendulum goes along with muscle testing, where your higher self and subconscious are going to know information that we don't know in the consciously here and now. And so by utilizing the pendulum to either have a yes motion or a yes motion or a no motion, we're able to get answers. And like Drew says, don't necessarily take it as gospel, but feel free to use it as a tool and develop that.
The also like dowsing rods. It's 11:11 here, by the way.
Yes.
But the dowsing rods, I think I spoke about last time when you never know when you're gonna run across someone, but there's always signs. I had a well drilled for the previous house that we sold. That was actually on the show, Homestead Rescue. That well we had drilled before the show ever come, but when the guy was out there, he was looking for where the best place to drill on our property was, and he was walking around with dowsing rods. And I was like, I can't believe this, like these burly, well drillers come out wearing overalls and things like that, and you're like, and you're working with ayahuasca on the same land and things like that, and you got a sweat lodge sitting over there. But I walked up and I'm like, man, you believe in that? He's like, yeah, I had a near-death experience like 7 years ago. And I was like, okay. I was like, I got you. And we just clicked like that. He understood me, I understood him. I've had a near-death in 2019 and many other ones, including this I got staples in my head right now. Like that was kind of a near-death thing. I thought I was bleeding out in front of my youngest daughter, which was horrifying for me, and because there was blood all down my face within, a second or two of it happening. But those moments are, you come out of it and the sun's a little brighter and things like that.
I'm looking at some of your photos from the episode here.
Yeah, there's another, we filmed another episode that's coming out with this next season. So
awesome.
And it's where they come to the house and look at some of the stuff that we built there. Misty comes to the house, and then I go to another build and work on another property with them. But I talk to them all the time. They're great people. I love them. Like
that's awesome.
They're really awesome people, and anytime, when the last time that they filmed around here, they invited me out to go to dinner with them and stuff like that. And like Marty was always picking up like $1,000 for everybody. And Clint's awesome. He's an awesome person hanging out. I got to hang out with him a lot off camera. He's a great person.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's I reflected back in 2024 because I had a suicide attempt in 2014 and wound up in the hospital and everything. But I reflected in 2024 of like it being 10 years and writing in that 10 years. I've had 2 more children. I've wrote 2 books. I've been on a reality show, founded a psychedelic church, helped thousands that were on the edge of suicide, come away from that edge, whether it be through books. My books are all over the world, in Australia and Europe. They're just on Amazon. They're all over the world. And there's people that message me sometime from a couple people has messaged me from Australia and just man, what if I took 1 more Xanax, or what if the ambulance was just a little bit, that I got picked up by ambulance and I OD'd on Xanax when my suicide attempt. What if one thing would have changed in that time frame, and all this thing wouldn't happen. So
what provoked that? Was it your experience in Iraq, or what provoked it?
Yeah, I don't even know, right? I can't remember. It was probably around a girl or something. I don't know. I was just unstable. I went through I got out in 2009 and 2009 to 2014 was just, ups and downs. And man, I was in the middle of starting a business. I had 2 multi-million-dollar investors. I was starting a distribution business for head shops. And, I had everything in front of me. And thinking back on it now, if that wouldn't have happened, I would probably be on a different, I would be some miserable millionaire somewhere, or something like that, or something like that. But it was, I feel more abundant now than I ever have, in my life and everything. I don't think I have over $5 in my wallet right now, but I feel abundant. I have everything I need, and I know that the grid could be taken down right now, and my life wouldn't change that much. My life.
We're very close to it, actually.
Yeah. So
I heard about the UBS only today, as a matter of fact.
So, Drew, is Sacred Journey your journey, Sacred Journeys Within? Is that you?
That's our website, yeah, and name of our church.
So
So,
this is it.
yep. So we've had a 501c3 since 2020, and we do ceremonies here mostly with 5-MeO right now. Like we don't really work with ayahuasca much anymore, just because it's really hard to acquire the medicine, especially after COVID. Everything changed. Things changed on at customs, so it's a lot harder to get ayahuasca. But yeah, so I've been doing a lot of ceremonies with 5-MeO DMT, which is really connects people back with source.
Oh my goodness, you have quite a few paraphernalia there.
Yeah.
What is bufo?
Bufo
the
is
frog.
Bufo avarius. So it's a scientific name for Bufo avarius, which is snoring desert toad. It's one of the animals that secretes this molecule as a defense, as neurotoxin.
Was that
Is
the frog we
is
were
it
talking
from
about?
the bufo frog?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. We're full circle back to.
And then you also have a store.
Yeah, we really the store is really not active anymore. Like I used to carry books and sell I'd have autograph buying from our website. I'd normally have like an autograph copy sent to you, but I just kind of been lazy on ordering books, things like that. So I just direct people back to Amazon. Yeah,
So they are on Amazon, and you can find them under your name.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was the co-author for both books is Dr. Colleen Duran, and she's a psychologist. She's worked with she's an author herself, and the way we met was just crazy. She was listening to an interview I did with Grant Cameron one of my first interviews back in the day, and she had listened to the interview and realized that she had a dream that and she's I think she's probably in her 70s now. I think she was in her 60s when we wrote the books, but she's probably in her early 70s. But when she was in her 20s, she went to India for a couple years and did a spiritual walkabout there, and she had this recurring dream that she was supposed to help someone write this book that was going to change humanity.
Oh,
and
wow.
when she heard me speak on Grant Cameron, at the end of it, I was like, I know there's someone listening right now that's going to help me write this book. And she was listening, and it triggered like this dream that she forgot about, basically. So she contacted me, and 46 days later we published I'm Perfect and So Are You. She sat down, and a lot of us channeled. Like she would sit down, and some of it was like over Zoom, some of it was in person, some was over phone. But that's back when I was channeling like regularly, and I would channel messages, and she would interview whatever spirit was coming through. It'd be Archangel Michael, Osiris, Source. And that's the crazy part that's coming out now, is those channelings that I did with Osiris back then. A lot of them are coming out now that Osiris and Orion is going to be a large part of this ascension process that we're going through right now.
Do you believe in the Galactic Federation?
I believe in a lot of different things. I believe in a lot of different things that I do know of personally. I know that the Orion star group is real, and they're a very big part of what's going on right now. Anything else from that? Like, I've had experiences. I channeled a Palladian council one time, but yeah, I believe in anything after everything that I've seen. Like I've seen Bigfoot face to face. I've seen ET face to face near Chaco Canyon. So I don't discount anything. Anything could be real if there's, especially if there's more than 2 or 3 people believing in it, like it starts to manifest. And ultimately, I think everything is manifesting from our ideas. So the more that we talk about the Galactic Federation, the more manifestation energy goes towards it. Just like the powers to be have known about this technology for a long time, and they made this flag, and then they put together a pledge of allegiance and made us say it every morning in
Mhm.
school, unknowingly giving our manifestation energy to an inanimate object.
Wow. So
Perhaps
Penny,
on a,
oh, go
Go
ahead,
as
ahead.
you-
We're
Brian.
almost at the end of the hour, so go ahead.
I was going to say,
Sorry.
perhaps on a future show, Drew, you were linking Osiris. It sounds like you're a medium as well, channeler. Has a link, that's Egyptian mythology to Native American lore and
Absolutely.
legend.
Absolutely.
And I think that'd be very interesting to perhaps explore in a future show.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a deep star knowledge that ties to Orion, and then so and not to speak on another, Lakota is not my lineage or anything like that, but I have been privy to a lot of deep information in it. But there is a deep connection to Osiris through Lakota spiritual prophecies, and ultimately it connects back to the sun. The sun, Atewi, like that's the Lakota word for sun. Atewi is represented in the sweat lodge by the fire. So uh, everything is connects back to the sun. The sun dance. If you fast you do a sun dance, a 4-day dry fast, and dance sun up to sundown, you understand the sun in a very deep way. And I did that because because of the dreams. Ultimately, everything connects back. I had dreams of going into Sundance. That's why I went out there, and I knew I had to be there because spirit showed me that I needed to be there. And that's the only way to do some of the ceremonies that I've done, because it takes you to the edge of death, and that ties back to Osiris. But Osiris is the son of the sun. He is a direct descent. He is a direct descendant of the sun. He he may be a product of the sky and the earth. There's a couple different Egyptian spiritual practices. They look at Osiris different, or say his origins are different. I agree that he is a product of, but so he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid. He is a hybridization. This is one of the things that Egypt is going to come out. Egypt has already said they're about to release something that's going to change humanity this year. They said that publicly, and I knew they were going to do that before they said it publicly, because I'm friends with Chris Bledsoe. But Chris Bledsoe is connected to what's about to happen in Egypt. I'm connected to what's about to happen in Egypt, and Osiris is deeply connected because they're about to find his body under the right paw, and Isis on their left. He's a hybrid, but more importantly, he's gonna bring back the sun religion to the collective, and that's, there's remote viewers that speak about it. For us to move forward, or what's going to happen right now, we need to come together, and the collective needs to agree upon a religion. You can have your deities and things like that, but ultimately we need to understand what the sun is and what it does for us, both physically, spiritually, on all levels.
Did you happen to see the opening of the museum in Cairo, Egypt, the historical and the performance and everything? Did you see that event?
I haven't.
Oh, it was spectacular. Really spectacular.
Yeah, but there's, the sun, they've been repressing that. You can look at the sun. One of the lies that we've been fed for generations is you can't look at the sun. You can look at the sun. People stargaze, and they don't lose their sight. Their sight only improves. There's a reason that cancer spiked when we started when sunglasses started becoming more and more popular. There's a reason why you can go into Walmart and there's racks of $1 sunglasses. There's there's cancer in sunscreen. Like, there's all these different things. And the easiest thing to do is just be out in nature more. And that's why the key to a spiritual evolution is be out in nature more. It'll teach you things. You're out in the sun more, you're connected, you're grounded. It's true. It's not woo-woo stuff. So that's what I'm here to spread. and that's my
Well,
mission
Drew, I
here
want
in
to
life.
thank you for joining us, and we are going to bring you back most assuredly. And tell people where they can find you, where they can reach you if they
I
need
show
to.
up. I show up in people's dreams sometimes after hearing me speak. But just Sacred Journeys Within, Drew Bankey on any of the socials. So, and if any of my books, you can just Google me. Google my name, Drew Bankey. I've tried to make it as easy as possible to find out anything. I'm on all the, Facebook, Instagram, X. Yeah, and they're all verified. If there's not a blue check mark, like there's only a few out there that's trying to impersonate me, but yeah, there's a blue check mark after all my names on all my socials, so that's it's me. It's so. And YouTube. I've had some videos on YouTube. I've done hundreds of interviews since 2019 on all the different channels you could think of. So
Thank you again, Drew. This has been fascinating. Katie Bradley, where can people find you?
You can find me on Awake Nation, on Agent X11, and anywhere with Penny and David Zublik and Joan and Terry. And you can reach me at X, which is KBT143. And thank you very much, Drew and Brian. I really appreciate help on this journey.
Thank you, Katie. And your chair needs to be oiled. It's squeaking. Terry Bradley.
It's not squeaking.
Yeah, I went.
And we are Cherokee Indian, by the way.
Partly, yeah.
Cherokee, yeah.
A little bit.
Terry Bradley, where
Yeah.
can people find you?
Yes, Awake Nation, by the way, is now on YouTube. They're back at YouTube at David Zublik. So don't miss that. It's on daily, Monday through Friday. Also, Life with Joan, and again, Agent X11 here with Penny in the group, and the Trauma Triage team. And I'm with my sister Katie at KBT143 on X.
Thank you so very much. And
Thank
Brian
you.
Singh, where can people find you?
Yeah, every Thursday morning here at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and then on Facebook. And then I'll be having some announcements coming up, but until then, I'm still kind of keeping a lid on everything. And you can always reach me directly on Facebook. Just put in Brian Sang and Solar B, my nickname, and I'll pop right up.
Thank you, Brian. And Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Oh, Penny. You want to find me? I'm here on Agent X11. I'm Wake Nation Tuesdays and Thursdays. Trauma Triage on Wednesdays with Heather Day, co-hosting with Heather Day. And then Penny gifted me a show called Life with Joan, and that's been an interesting trip. And you can also find me on X, Joan Renee 27.
And you can find me with all these wonderful people 5 days a week. I try to take a little bit of time for myself on Saturday. Tomorrow, I may or may not be on the Awake Nation News. They're going to be doing some work on the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to try to make it in. And then at the same time, they're also going to be doing some work on the electricity. So, it is Friday the 13th. So my standard joke was, I hope that Jason doesn't come to the door and say, I'm here to fix your electricity. And, if the guy comes to the door, I'm going to say, hey, is your name Jason? And are you from the CIA? So I will try to make it tomorrow. We have one more show for this evening. All my Agent X11s for Friday are canceled because I will have no electricity. So that's going to be an issue, and probably no Wi-Fi. So I have canceled them. But join us again tomorrow for the Awake Nation News and the Awake Nation. And David Zublik's show is the Damn Straight Show. I'll play that in our close. I'll play his Damn Straight open, and then I'll close with the Agent X11. And you can find me here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We do the Awake Nation News on the David Zublik channel and also on the Agent X11 channel. We're also on X, so we are live there as well. David Zublik just started premiering the Awake Nation on YouTube. We'll see how long we stay on that. We're going to try very hard to stay on there. And if you have an opportunity, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, we have a Give, Send, Go to keep us in, above the red line, because right now we're at the red line. And so you can go to GiveSendGo/Zublik, or you can contribute to my PayPal. It's shepherd.entertainment@gmail.com. It's Dollar Day for Penny.
Yes.
And so I thank you all for joining us. And please, again, like, share, and subscribe. We are out of time. And remember, I'm not going to close immediately. So if you want to hang out and just see what the Damn Straight Show opening is, you can. We're out of time, so we are out of here. Shepherd out.
Solar be out.
Renee out.
Bradley out.
And Terry.
Terry Bradley out, and I'm saying out for Bankey. Bye, Drew.
I'm out.
Bye, Drew.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay, we're out of here.
Come on now. Hello, everyone. Cruise at you, look at you. Hey, 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 hey. David Free David's got something to say. Ain't saving it for then you're a sellout. What did you call me? A sub. Take that back. We've all been had. History's lies, man, it's making him mad. You're spreading lies. You're the one twisting the facts. I'll shut you up. Bring it on.
And there you have it, the liberal point of view.
Tonight.
Goodbye for now from Agent X11, Hollywood dark journalist, a shining light in this darkened world. And don't forget to watch the Awake Nation News 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern on the David Zublik channel on Rumble, followed by our main show, David Zublik's Awake Nation, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.